I still remember the feeling of freedom when I returned with a diploma in my hands, inspiration in my heart, and a clear plan. I would help our family reach a new level. After graduating from the state university, returning to my parents' home in the suburbs didn't feel like a step backward, but rather a step into true adult life. My older brother already lived with his fiancée somewhere in the neighboring state, and I didn't want to be intrusive. But my parents sincerely invited me. "Daughter, live with us. You'll help, and then you can rent a place with friends when you find yourself." The first week was almost ideal. I was unpacking my things, cooking family dinners to songs from my childhood playlist, listening to my father's memories of his college evenings. My mother watched me wash the dishes. "My little homemaker is back home," she joked with a smile. The smell of pie, the taste of young vegetables from the garden, morning conversations in the kitchen, everything was so familiar, forgotten, and important. And then, somehow, during dinner, my mom said, as if in passing, "Emily, our salary is a bit delayed, and the utility bills are high now, new tariffs. Maybe you can help cover the month. We'll pay you back later, I promise." I didn't even hesitate. "Of course, Mom. It's nothing. I'm officially working part-time now. I have money." My dad winked then. "See what a smart and good daughter we have." I was pleased. It's normal to help your family. Everyone always said that. A few days later, my mom neatly slipped me the gas bill, and a week later, the phone bill disappeared. I thought of it as part of growing up, getting a salary, planning expenses, and contributing to a common piggy bank. When I set aside some money from my mom's gift, and she, instead of thanking me, just nodded and quickly went to her room, I thought, she's probably just uncomfortable taking money from her daughter. In the evening, my dad said, "Thank you, daughter. Not every child takes care of their family like this." And my mom hugged me and added, "See how good it is when relatives stick together?" And everything seemed right. Even when the next month they left the electricity bill, I took it calmly. "It's just temporary. It will get easier soon," I reassured myself. But back then, I didn't realize that this is exactly how a long chain of dependencies begins, with the best intentions and boundless love for your relatives. I just thought I was learning to be a responsible daughter, and I didn't know yet that sometimes you have to pay too high a price for care. Life, at first, seemed even sweeter than I had imagined. My salary as a marketing manager at a small agency fully covered my living expenses and the family's bills. I felt like I was helping. The first summer at home passed under the slogan, "Emily is smart. She'll handle everything." In the fall, my mother cautiously asked, "Daughter, if you have an extra $20, put it on the card. We've connected a third internet package here." It was nothing special. I still considered it part of the starting phase, a form of support. In winter, my dad asked me to transfer money for an unforeseen purchase of a new water heater. "It's for the house, for you and your future family." Sometimes, a few days before my paycheck, my mother would call, "Daughter, I was covering some old utility debts. We won't make it until payday. Can you help a little?" I helped. The ophthalmologist for dad, the insurance payment for mom, a trip to relatives, everything fell on my shoulders without me even noticing. I was both pleased and a little pained. Do all adult children pay for their parents, I wonder? Sometimes I would complain to my friend Veronica, and she would joke, "That's your payment for a happy childhood." I laughed, but every month the bills grew. The second year of my temporary return came. I already had a decent salary and even the prospect of a promotion. Meanwhile, my mother would shyly hint, your dad and I are a bit stuck with the payment for the kitchen loan. Maybe you can give us some more. More? I'm already paying for almost everything. But I didn't say anything to her. I just transferred another part of my salary. There were moments when I felt something was not right here. For example, once I asked who else in the family could help. Maybe my brother can chip in? Don't bother him, he has a new family. You are the strong child. There was another incident when a home appliance store called me to remind me about anything there. My mom then soothed me for a long time. The service made a mistake. I'll take care of it. I believed her, still. Closer to the third year, I began to feel tired. Every time my mother asked, "Can you transfer some more?" a part of me inside would clench. I stopped buying new clothes and saving money, but I nervously reassured myself. Family is the most important thing. When the family is in trouble, it's not the time to think about yourself. But a strange anxiety grew. I suddenly noticed that in conversations, I started mixing up where is my money, where is the shared money, and where is theirs. A few nights I lay awake and thought, maybe this is not normal. Did I take on too much? But the next day, everything repeated itself. A new bill, another amount, another credit story, and yet more thank yous from my parents. I pretended not to notice my own doubts. Could care really be so suffocating? What I didn't want to know was already starting to scream inside, but the decisive sign I received where I never expected it: a paper letter. It happened in the spring when the third year of my temporary return was coming to an end. I was just planning my vacation when the postwoman handed me an envelope from the bank. On the front, my name, probably just another promotional brochure, as usual. I tore open the envelope and I read, "Dear Emily, we would like to remind you of the need to make the next payment on loan number 3920. The debt amount is $3,400. Please deposit the funds by the 30th of the current month." Everything went dark before my eyes. What loan? I didn't take out any new loans. Money? From whom? Where? For what? I called the number indicated in the letter. "Hello? My name is Emily. I received a letter about a loan, but I didn't apply for one." The woman on the other end calmly said, "Yes, we have information about a loan in your name, which was processed a year ago. The last few payments have been irregular." I didn't sign any contracts. The loan was processed with remote identification. If you have any questions, please contact a branch. My hands were shaking. I rushed to look for any documents at home, a contract, a signature, something that could explain this absurd situation. My parents weren't home. Both were at work. I walked through the rooms, looked at the bookshelf where my old diary stood, at the empty boxes from electronics. A single question hammered in my head. Did someone take out a loan in my name, using my documents? Maybe it was a system error or fraud. But who would want me? I tried to stay calm until the evening, but the closer I got to hearing my mom's voice in the hallway, the more my heart clenched. My mom came into the kitchen and felt my tense gaze. "Daughter, you look pale. Are you tired?" I placed the envelope on the table. "Mom, what is this? There's a loan in my name. I didn't take it out." She paused for a moment, as if hesitating with her answer. Then she exhaled and looked down. "Oh, that... You got so scared, sweetie. It's a bank error, probably. Don't worry." "Mom? Did you know about this?" She was silent. She just squeezed her handkerchief, as she always did when she was nervous. "Tell me the truth. Did you do something without me?" Tension hung in the air. I felt fear and aggression fighting inside me. For the first time in 3 years, my trust was cracking. My mom's gaze shifted to the door, as if waiting for my dad to come to the rescue. But I already knew this story was not a mistake, and my family ideal was shattered by a reality that would turn out to be even worse than I could have imagined. I still hoped it was just a misunderstanding, a random coincidence of names, or a system glitch. By evening, my heart was pounding so hard that even the silence felt like the sound of a storm. My mom was washing the dishes to avoid looking me in the eyes. I walked up and placed the envelope on the table again. "Mom, tell me honestly, who took out this loan in my name?" She flinched, as if pricked. Then she put down the towel and sighed long and heavily. "Daughter, we didn't mean you any harm. It was just a difficult situation. We were facing a penalty for a late payment on an old debt, and the bank offered a short-term loan to a reliable payer. You have a perfect credit score." "So, you used my credit history without my consent?" She froze. Her shoulders slumped. "Your dad and I thought, well, you're already helping with everything anyway. You always said yourself that family comes first." But not forging a signature. My voice became sharper than I intended. "How could you? How did you take my documents, send in an application, and not even tell me? That's a crime!" My mom started to cry. Dad cautiously came into the kitchen, heard the first part of the conversation, and immediately stopped in the doorway. "Emily, don't yell at your mom. We're all in this together. We're one family." I gave him an angry look. "Together? I've been paying for everything for 3 years, working late, saving up for my second life, and you're taking out a loan in my name as a wallet and not even asking? That's not togetherness. That's using me." My mom took my hand, for the first time in a year so gently, and at the same time so helplessly. "We just wanted to make things easier for every year's debt, so the bank doesn't call me at work, so my perfect credit score isn't ruined by your foolishness." Tears were streaming down my mom's cheeks. My dad was frozen. "We trusted you. You're our daughter. We didn't know how to tell you the truth." In that moment, I hated and loved at the same time, but my indignation overwhelmed it. I can't live like this anymore. It hurts. I feel like a wallet, not a daughter. Mom whispered, "Can you forgive us? We made a terrible mistake." My whole youth flashed before my eyes. School mornings together, my first broken tooth with my dad's hugs, my mom's homemade birthday cakes, and bills, transfers, just one more time to help. Can you forgive this? Can I trust them again? I didn't know the answer at that moment. My heart was clenching from pity, shame, and anger. But ahead of me was the most difficult conversation with myself. I didn't sleep that night. Thoughts like storm waves rolled over me again and again. My mom was crying in the next room. My dad didn't come into the kitchen. And I lay on the couch with those terrible words. "Can you forgive us?" And "You're our daughter." But was I? Or just a convenient wallet? I remembered my childhood, how I dreamed of being a reliable support for my family. I remember how my mom taught me to mix dough for holiday bread, how my dad assembled my computer for my straight A's. They were never heroes, but they were mine. And now these close people had turned shared bills into a trap of codependency. In the morning, I decided to call Veronica. "Listen, I tried to steady my breathing. Have you ever felt used by your own family? Wow, you're asking me directly. What happened? I briefly told her about the loan, about the years of helping, about my mom's tears and my dad's look of an offended child. Emily, that sounds scary, but you're not alone. We all grow up in a world of children for parents, where help is confused with obligation and trust with debt. The most important thing here is to ask yourself, are you giving because you love or because you're afraid to say no? I suddenly realized how rarely I had said that short word in 3 years. I was afraid of looking like a bad daughter, afraid of ruining the relationship. But was it a real relationship if love was called financing? The day passed in futile attempts to gather myself. I made a list, my needs, and parents' expectations. By the end of the sheet, I realized I don't know what I want myself because all this time I only wanted everyone to be happy. I went for a walk. It was spring, the smell of wet asphalt, and my sad eyes were reflected in the windows of neighboring apartments. For a second, I imagined a life without this dependency. My own apartment, the rest of my salary, for me, a relationship where love isn't measured by the sum of payments. Maybe it's time to grow up, time to say the most important no in my life. In the evening, I returned home knowing I would make my decision tomorrow. It might break the old world, but an adult daughter has the right to her own boundaries. And what would you have done? Would you be ready to say enough, even to your closest people? The next day, I called my mom and dad to the kitchen table. Even in this ritual, there was something symbolic. It was here that I once shared my dreams, here that family secrets were solved, here that our illusions were shattered. I started calmly. Mom, Dad, I've thought about everything. This isn't just about money. It's about trust. You can't save a family by stealing someone else's life, even if it belongs to your own daughter. My mom cried silently. My dad fiddled with his car key in his hand, hiding his eyes. I'm taking responsibility for my decisions. I will no longer pay for someone else's bills. All the debts you made in my name are your responsibility. I will help with consultations, but not 1 penny more. This isn't anger, it's a boundary. I was expecting yelling, accusations, but there was only silence. You didn't lose money. You lost trust. I love you, but you must understand, love is not an account, but boundaries that cannot be crossed even between the closest people. I wrote a written refusal for the repeated use of my documents, contacted the banks, and in all credit institutions, I left a ban on processing loans in my name without my personal presence. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe easier. A safety cushion appeared, my dignity, and the right to be myself, even if it hurts my loved ones. A few weeks passed. A coolness settled in my relationship with my parents, but not hostility. Mom, how are you? Sad, daughter. But maybe that's how it had to be. We became dependent on your kindness, and it corrupted us. Dad, without unnecessary moralizing, admitted, I'm sorry, Emily. You're stronger than I thought. I rented a separate apartment, started my own, truly adult life. Not out of hatred, but out of love for myself. Can you forgive something like this? I learned to say yes, but only when my soul truly wants to. I am ready to help my parents, with advice, with a word, but not at the cost of my own independence. The relationship did not return to its former harmony, but it became more honest. Now I know family is not just blood, it's trust, and the right of every adult to refuse to be a wallet, even for those you love very much. Have you ever faced similar financial pressure in your family? Was it easy for you to defend your boundaries? If you were in my place, what would you choose? To forgive or to break up? Write your stories in the comments and subscribe. Here we talk about what's important for everyone who wants to be themselves and for themselves.